Greetings from quarantine. Noelle here. Yep, it ain't just a stay-at-home order anymore. Like, I'm legit cannot leave my house for anything other than the emergency room. Everything's fine, it's just somebody in my house got sick yesterday. This person is feeling better, but we have all been tested for the corona and are awaiting results and cannot go to work or anywhere until they come back negative. Yay! But anyways, yes, I did just flip my hair onto the other side. Yeah, thought you wouldn't notice. Anyways, today I thought it would be fun to share with you guys my first tampon story. I found that many people's first tampon stories are quite uneventful, like pretty much all the same for literally everybody. Not me, hahaha. Mine's unique from everybody else's, like I can promise you that. Like my first tampon experience is unlike any other. They say you're not alone in your experiences. I'm alone in my experiences. Well, I mean, I'm sure somebody out there has the same experience as me, but I have yet to meet anybody that has the same first tampon story as me. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Plugged in my fairy lights over there. They kind of looked sad without being on, so there you go. So the very first time I tried to use a tampon, I was 14. It was the summer after my 8th grade year, and we were about to go to the pool, and you know, I was on my period. So my mom gave me a tampon to try. I'm not sure the brand, I know it was a regular size, but yeah. Basically, she gave it to me and was like, here, you can try this. Just like basically gave me some basic instructions on how to use it, showed me the pamphlet and everything. And yeah, I tried it and it kind of hurt a lot to do it. So I gave up after several tries. I wasn't particularly scared of them at first, but they just kind of hurt a lot and I was kind of anxious, and I was just like, you know what? I'm kind of done with this for the day. I'll try it again at a later date. So a later date arrived. I was still 14, this was still the summer after 8th grade. This time, we were on a beach vacation, yay. But I was supposed to get my period during that beach vacation. We all hate that. That's always the worst thing in the world. So, I was like, since I'm gonna be in the water, I'm definitely gonna need to use a tampon this time. So, we went out and we got some Tampax Radiant tampons. I think they were size regular. I highly doubt they were super or anything like that. So the first try with that was actually the day before my period started. My period was due that day, but it was a day late that month, which, you know, happens because periods are like that. But we tried that. Me and my mom. I had to have help from my mother to use a tampon because it hurt. But yeah, I tried to do it and it hurt so bad that I nearly passed out. Like, I have only been in that much pain a couple of times, to the point where I almost blacked out. Like, my hearing was going away, my vision was fading out. It was really... But yeah, we kept trying, and I kept failing. It was not fun. So we gave up after a while. My mom was like, okay, well maybe because you haven't actually gotten your period yet, so you're not well lubricated, you're probably still a little dry down there, so, you know, we'll try again after you actually start your period, because then you'll be more lubricated. So I was like, alright, that sounds fine to me. So of course, the next day I got my period. This was a determination this time. We were gonna do this time. Still excruciatingly painful. Like, it could not be done. I was actually laying on the floor while my mom was trying to insert it for me, and she was like, you're almost there, it's a quarter of the way in, and I was screaming, crying in pain. And she's like, come on, it's fine, we're almost there, and eventually I was just like, stop, this hurts too much, like I can't do this. So, of course, we gave up again because I was screaming, and there were other people in this house that could hear me screaming and were probably like, what's this girl up to? So, you know, I came out of the bathroom, sore down there, and very discouraged because I could not do this. I was like, what's wrong with me? And my mom was like, you're probably just anxious. Because if you're anxious about doing that, then like your muscles down there will tense up and it can make inserting a tampon hurt a little bit. I will say that this pain was definitely like 100 times worse than just anxiety pain, because I get that kind of anxiety pain when using a tampon. Like the first tampon of my cycle, usually it kind of stings a little bit because I'm a little bit nervous to do that for like the first time in a month, but this was literally 100 times worse. It was very bad. So since I failed at using a tampon, you're probably wondering, did you still go in the water? How did you go about that? I did still go in the water. I put a panty liner in my swimsuit, and that was the time I found out that my period does actually stop in the water. That's my superpower, everybody. So basically that didn't go well, and I was like, I am never gonna use a tampon, like I'm a pad gal for life, yay. It was well into 9th grade when I tried again, because it had been brought to my attention that basically all my friends were using tampons except me. I had a few friends that were using pads and were terrified to try tampons still, but the majority of my friends seemed to be using them, and I was like, what the heck? Like, am I crazy? Like, why can't I do this? So I kept trying. I tried it again, and it still was excruciating, and then I was like, I'm never doing this again, like, I'm sticking to pads, like, this hurts too much. I did that every couple of months. Like, every couple of months I'd try again, and it would be painful, and I'd be like, I'm never doing this again, and I'd try it again. Basically, that continued on for a while. So when I was around 15 and a half, when I had been still trying to use tampons and it still was painful and not working, my mom finally suggested that I visit a gynecologist to see if there was something else going on. And that was about the age that I was learning about what they do with the gynecologist, that like you go to the gynecologist when you're a young adult woman and they basically put a speculum in there and they swab cells of your cervix. And having just found out about that at kind of that age, I was like, oh, no. I was afraid they were gonna do that to me. So I was like, no, I'm absolutely never gonna do that, especially with the pain that I had experienced down there with tampons. I was like, that speculum is going to kill me. So I was like, no way. It's just because I'm anxious. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just very, very scared of tampons, even though I really wasn't originally. I wasn't really scared of them originally. I was pretty chill about the idea. I was like, this is fine. And then it was painful. But nevertheless, I insisted that it was just anxiety, it was just fear, phobia of tampons, and that I would get over it someday, and there was nothing wrong with me. There was no possible physiological reason why this was difficult and painful for me. So, you know, threw that idea out the window for a little while. This continued. I kept trying tampons every couple of months, always the same, painful, never ended up getting one inside. So then when I think I just turned 16, and my mom suggested again that I go visit a gynecologist and see if there's something else going on. And at this point, I was still insistent on the fact that I was anxious and there was nothing wrong with me. But at that point, I had just given up. I was just like, you know what? Maybe they'll find something wrong with me. In the event that they don't, which they won't, they can give me some pointers on how to make this less excruciating. So I went to the gynecologist, and, you know, I told the doctor my situation. I was like, yo, so like I've been trying to use tampons for about 1.5 years now, and every single time it feels like I'm trying to put a chainsaw up there. So, you know, she had me take off my pants and get on the table with my cute little paper dress that they make you put on, and I put my feet in the stirrups, and this is the part where I started having a full panic attack about this because of my past experience with a tampon being way too freaking painful for me to handle. Fortunately, my doctor was really, really good about that. She was very slow with it, just very much walking through it, narrating every step that she took so that I wouldn't freak out. She had a Q-tip. She didn't use the speculum or anything. She just had a Q-tip. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna put the Q-tip on your inner thigh right here. And I was like, okay. And then, you know, she moved it progressively closer and closer to my nether regions until, you know, she got to my opening and, you know, examined it with the Q-tip. And she was doing that, and I was sitting there crying, panicking, and she was like, all right. Like, that lasted probably like 2, 3, 5 seconds, I don't know. She was done, and she was like, all right, so I'll have you just get dressed and I'll explain to you what's going on. And so I put my pants back on and everything, and she came back in. So she started drawing on the paper on the table. You know, when the gynecologist does that, it's serious business. No. She began to explain to me that I had a microperforate hymen. What? I swear. Basically, a normal hymen is very small bit of tissue and very thin, very stretchy, doesn't cause any issues or obstructions with anything. A microperforate hymen is very thick, not stretchy in the slightest, and covers everything but a small little opening, usually about the size of a urethra, at least that was for me. Basically, that was why tampons felt like literal chainsaws, because nothing could fit up there. The doctor's Q-tip could not fit inside that opening. So yeah, she was basically like, you know, there's still an opening there, so you still have your period like normal, and you really only realize something is wrong when you try to use a tampon or, you know, lose your V card or whatever, and it hurts like a mother trucker. But I passed it off as just being anxious. Yeah, no, it shouldn't hurt that badly, people. It should not be so excruciating that you almost pass out. That's not normal, folks. So yeah, the doctor explained it to me, and I was like, oh, so it's not my brain, it's my literal anatomy that's causing this. Yeah, basically. She explained to me that it was an easy fix. There was a little procedure that I would undergo to get it fixed, and, you know, my mom and I both agreed to let me have it because, you know, it was kind of interfering with my life a little bit there, so, you know, why not? Basically, the procedure was like half an hour long. You'd be put under general anesthesia, and they'd basically make an incision and stitch back your hymen tissue so that it was out of the way. So you'd walk out of the OR with literally pretty much no hymen at all. I had the surgery like a couple months after the appointment. I missed school for it because the surgery was at 9 a.m. I couldn't go in, and they recommended that I take off school the next day as well, but I actually felt fine enough to go back the very next day, which was pretty cool. The recovery was actually not bad at all. Basically, you know, my anesthesia wore off by the end of the day. Like, it was completely out of my system by the end of the day, because I was only under for like 30 to 45 minutes at the most. Down there area kind of was a little sore for a couple of days afterwards. Like, I couldn't really sit properly with that. Like, I kind of had to slouch back in my chair like this, but it went away after a little while. And I had bleeding down there. Not like a period, none of it was coming from my uterus, it was coming from the incision site. Basically, they told me that it was normal to have bleeding from the incision site for like a couple of days to a week. I had it for a week. I had to wear a pad for that time period. And they also had me using some estrogen cream on my stitches to kind of help with the healing process. I wasn't that good about using that stuff. Like, I kind of remembered once in a while to use it, and yeah, but you know, it worked out fine. 6 weeks after the surgery, they had me come in for a recovery checkup, kind of similar to your 6-week checkup after you have a baby. They had me come in and check on the recovery of my incision and everything, the stitching and all that fun stuff. I was advised not to use tampons between the surgery and the 6-week checkup, obviously because 6 weeks time period. I did have my period in between those two because cycles are normally shorter than 6 weeks, but yeah, I was advised not to use tampons because it would mess with the stitches and the healing and everything and possibly cause other issues. So, you know, I wasn't able to use tampons immediately after the surgery. But yeah, I went in and they were like, everything looks good, so you can use tampons, yada yada yada. So they sent me back, and I was like, all right, cool. And I actually still couldn't use tampons for my period after that 6-week recovery period because, yeah, it turned out the stitches were still a little tender from the surgery. And my mom told me that after the fact, after I tried to use it again, I was like, Mom, this is still really painful. Did this not work? And she's like, yeah, girl, your stitches are probably still healing. You should probably wait till the next one. So yeah, I was like, you could have told me that, but oh well. Guess you gotta learn things the hard way from time to time. So fast forward to my next period after that. We were in Orlando this time. I was still living in Nashville at the time, and we were in Orlando looking at houses because we were gonna move there pretty soon. I started my period while we were there, and we were in the hotel room, and I was like, all right, these stitches have gotta be healed up by now. So I got my Tampax Pearl Active Lights, which is literally the smallest tampon in America, I'm pretty sure. I went into the bathroom to try it out. My mom gave me intimacy lube to put on the applicator to make it a little easier, and boy did it work. Like, I couldn't even believe that it went in that easily. It was really weird. Like, I was like, okay, did it actually go in, or did it like slide backwards or something? It was in, and I was baffled. The hardest part about that whole experience was actually pushing up the thing to get the tampon out of the applicator, so I had to actually take it out and try it again, but second time was a success. And I was like, holy mother of pearl, I just did that. 2 years of excruciating pain trying to use these things, and I finally did it. Yay. So I came out, and my mom and I had a mini, very quiet celebration in the hotel room because my brother and dad were in the other room and did not need to know that I had just used a tampon for the first time. But yeah, that was kind of the most exciting day of my life. It was like 2 years of agony are finally over. Yay! So yeah, that was my insane, traumatic first tampon story. Yeah, it was pretty traumatic, but I'm almost 20 now and I still use tampons every time I have a period and no trouble there. So, you know, all's well that ends well, I suppose. But yeah, basically, that was this whole story time video. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe found it helpful if you were dealing with the same thing that I dealt with and maybe were like, hey, maybe I should go get checked out. Highly recommend if that's the case. Definitely. But yeah, hope you guys liked this, and if you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell icon so that you never miss another upload from me. So with that, that's all I got for you guys today. Have a good day and adios!